Yeah, whatever. No, whatever. Just yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We want to thank our lovely sponsors for providing this wonderful, delectable, delicious pizza. I'm not going to name them for fear of missing one, but you look at them every week when we have a sponsor slide, which this week we do not, because we have a remote speaker, Will Lopez. Will, remind me what part of Florida you're in again?
We're in South Florida in Palm Beach County.
There you go, Palm Beach County. So Will is founder and CEO of AdvisorFi. They do online accounting, and he's developed some cloud-based technology that integrates with some of the leading cloud-based accounting firms. So he's here to talk to us a little bit today about how to better optimize your business for handling that thing that we all like to handle, money. So without further ado, everybody give it up for Will, please.
Thank you. Hey, thanks, Brett. First off, I want to thank Brett, Andrew, and Kyle and Tim and all the guys for putting everything together. Super awesome and gracious of you guys to have me kind of remote in, see my ugly mug on that screen, and give you a little bit of an update on, I guess, just business ownership and where the industry's at right now. Especially, let's say if you're your own small business owner and you're trying to figure out this whole accounting, tax, business thing, and it's just a grind to go through. They felt it helpful to do a meetup where I could come in and at least inform of some of the awesome technology that's out there nowadays that has really, in my opinion, has absolutely changed the game no greater than 2 or 3 years ago. So, and it's just getting better and better and better. So what I want to try to do is just give you a little bit of my background, tell you exactly what I do currently, and then kind of tell you where the industry is and where it's going, and then kind of open it up really quickly to Q&A because I want to get to some questions and answers, and so that way I can try to answer any kind of pressing issues that anybody may have, or just some concepts. But my background, I was traditionally trained. So I've been doing accounting for about 13 years. I was a controller for a large not-for-profit, et cetera, all that traditional stuff. I worked for a traditional accounting firm, a large one down here in South Florida. And even at that level, which we were at a really high level, the kind of service that even that accounting firm was offering was pretty atrocious as far as I was concerned. A lot of it was very fractured. A lot of clients just had a lot of hard time understanding what they're even looking at. And then obviously accounting as a whole is just a grind to get through, keeping track of everything. How do I do all this kind of stuff? How do I get it to my accounting pro and have him help me? So I left that firm about 4 or 5 years later, no fault of them. It's just I wanted to do something less than working 80 hours or more a week. And so I started my accounting firm with the purpose of really trying to hone in on a lot of the tech that was out there that basically the small to medium-sized businesses are being extremely underserviced in. So if you own a small business, you're just not going to get the kind of attention that you would get, obviously, if you're a much larger business. So, and then we basically exploded from there because it's like sticking a dry sponge in a bucket. There's so much need, even in my own life, let's say as a small business owner, that small business owners need to adapt and change their mentality and do a complete paradigm shift to business ownership. And there's tech that's out there that can absolutely get you there. That is absolutely unheard of as of, like I said, no greater than 2 or 3 years ago. So the industry is really trekking along really fast. And there's actually what I would call almost like an industrial revolution that's happening in accounting and business ownership in the past 2 or 3 years. And so what my firm currently does is we're on the cusp of that stuff all the time, because that obviously is clearly more sexy than the traditional grinding out accounting stuff. So, my goal for us here today is to introduce hopefully a mentality that you guys may consider to rethink the way you're doing your business ownership and accounting and things like that. So that, you guys are devs, you guys have, front end and back end stack of technology. Well, it's the same concept in accounting and business ownership. You need to stack technology upon each other so that you can kind of get to the things that you're trying to accomplish, such as obviously not spending a tremendous amount of time doing remedial things, getting to data faster and intellectual data, that is getting to a conversation faster than the conversation being hung up on where do I put this, how do I categorize that, how do I manage my expenses here, which are all remedial, which obviously needs to be done, but that's not where the conversation really needs to be. So I have an infographic just on the screen, just to beat a dead horse, more dead. Obviously, we live in a mobile world, right? 6 out of 7 people, or at least for small businesses, use mobile apps for their business, which is a massive percentage. Obviously, it helps us to be more efficient and operate a lot faster. So if you can be at a client site and send invoices on the fly through your iPhone or Android, I mean, that is where you want to be, rather than going back to your desktop or something like that and cranking out some awful looking invoice. And so, you know, as far as how we check our finances, I mean, if anyone uses Mint, like I use Mint for my personal life, I mean, I don't ever log into my bank account to check my money. You know, I either log into Mint or, you know, I have a Chase app on my phone. So, you know, the infographic here displays basically how we check our finances in all kinds of places, not only personally, but in our business. You know, 46 on for vacation, 30% on the couch, 18% at a bar and restaurant. That's when you're like having after, I doubt that's after like 4 or 5 beers. But, you know, 15% commuting, that's a little concerning that we're doing that while driving. But the most popular mobile business tasks that we do, like I said, bank balance checking, you know, oh, what's in the bank, you know, what's going on there. Sometimes we use stuff that like captures receipts. So if you're on the fly, you're going to clients, or you're traveling, going to restaurants and you're trying to capture receipts, people do that. Updating contacts and invoicing. And so this is just a simple display of how pretty much, I mean, in most of our lives, for everything else, we do everything mobile. And the unfortunate part about my industry is that my industry doesn't promote that kind of mobility. So when you're doing everything in your life that's so cutting edge, so leading, and then you end up taking literally 10 steps backwards when you start working with an accounting firm or you start doing accounting. And that is so unfortunate, because the tech is there. It's just the industry is not, and their mentality of how to promote this kind of stuff to business owners who, let's say, are not strong in accounting but are strong in tech, is unfortunate, not only to the accounting firm, because hopefully in about 5 to 20 years time, they're going to be laid by the wayside, and people like myself who are leading the front and trying to further the revolution in tech, especially in business ownership and accounting, are going to come out on top, because what we're trying to do is promote something that's better, freeing for not only myself as a accounting firm owner and a promoter and consultant, but also freeing for the business owner themselves, that they may plug in the things that stack upon each other, that fully integrate and connect through full open APIs, and can now pull data out for deeper analysis. So, you know, what's happened here in like I said, in the past 2-3 years is basically accounting's gone online, like everything else has, but accounting has obviously gone online. But there's some platforms out there that are movers and shakers, that are innovators in that space, that are really crushing the industry and throwing kind of the industry in a whirlwind when it comes to awesome accounting tech. But there's so much data now that you can host online, which all your accounting data and all your financials and stuff like that, that we can now make it work for us. Now at this point, we can actually put the cloud-based servers to work for small business owners, so their businesses can keep ticking along even when you're not working at it. We can actually start applying some of the commodity innovations around like advanced machine learning applications that are driving basically the next wave of investments in accounting platform providers. So technology obviously now won't just collect accounting information anymore, but it'll learn from what it stores. So, you know, what I foresee in the next year to 5 years is basically accounting software and accounting tech and business ownership is going to start getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And then rather than just seeing the data that you entered presented back to you in, let's say, a clean, beautiful format, we can actually start utilizing machine learning to do the processing and automate decisions. which is absolutely unheard of at the moment if you own a business. Like no one can talk to their iPhone at the moment or their or Siri or their iWatch and say, hey, accounting software, how much receivables do I have in the bank? And it cranks out some sort of, oh, you have $30,000. You have 5 invoices that are late. Would you like me to invoice them? Yes, please. But that's the tech that's available right now. That is like in about 12 months time, it's right there. It's already being baited out. It's happening. So where you want to be, especially obviously as dev guys, which are cutting edge of technology, you want to be there as well when it comes to owning the business, because obviously accounting is rough, especially the antiquated ways of doing it is super hard. Sorry about that. I'm just kind of looking at my notes here, but that's going to bring you to a place where you want to be, and it's going to help you engage in deeper, better conversations with people like myself, rather than the conversation always being about the remedial things, which are important, but you don't want to consume yourself there. So I call it a business intelligence chasm. So, on one side of the chasm, you have you guys, business owners. On the other side of the chasm, you have where you want to be. Like, how do I save money in taxes? How do I manage my business? How do I streamline my receivables? How do I collect faster and stuff like that? And how do I automate things? How can I integrate everything? And so here you are on one side longing to get to the other side. And pretty much the only thing in between that's stopping you is either resources, technology, capability, that is having the capability to get there. And so now tech has advanced in such a dramatic way where you can totally fill in the gap. You can get yourself across the chasm. You can use accounting software that run your entire business, that integrates into 500 plus, additional, ecosystem add-on apps that basically piggyback off a platform that strengthen your business ownership. And so now there's no longer this idea or perception that you can't get there. You can get there. It's just a matter of now plugging in apps. So now where the industry is at, where you would have paid somebody like myself, let's say a large bill rate to get to some sort of deep analysis, you can just turn on an app for $10, $15, $20 a month and get that same analysis, if not better, in like clicks of buttons. And then now you and I, or you and your pro, can actually have a better conversation about your business, or you and the business owners and founders can have a better conversations about the business, or present things to investors trying to get equity capital faster and stuff like that. So that's where the industry has highly progressed in the past, just literally 2 or 3 years. And so that's pretty much what's driving. Yeah, obviously, what's driving that is the globalization. So globalization is one of the several market conditions that are combining, or basically combining the world together, forcing companies to be competitive and innovative. And so, we're not, hopefully soon, we're not going to be living in a world of just QuickBooks only, or Peachtree or something like that. There's awesome technology out there that's basically throwing the concepts out the door and saying, you know what, we need to rethink accounting. We need to rethink business ownership. And we need to build platforms that are totally open-ended, full open APIs, so that other great tech companies that have complementary things to the accounting life and business life can plug in, pull data out, and then we can start automating a bunch of things that are remedial. And things such as like, categorizing transactions, all that stuff now can be fully automated. Machine learning helps you do that, recognizes where you're putting things, learns from it. You can create things such as, let's say, rules where it says every time you go to Starbucks, boom, it goes here. And so we can basically, intensify business ownership and then take the hours back from the things that we've spent a lot of hours in just trying to get remedial tasks done. And so pretty much that's where the industry is at the moment. Like I said, my accounting firm, we're on the cusp of that. I love this kind of stuff because it frees a lot of people. It frees myself, and it frees my clients, because they're now in some of the greatest tech that's out there. And as long as you're able to rethink your platform, once again, rebuild your technology stack internally as a business and implement things that are crucial to the accounting life, doesn't detract from it, that is, you still keep it, but use better technology that gets you there faster, hones in all the pieces. That's where you want to be. You'll want to be there because it'll increase profitability. It'll increase your time. It'll get your time away from things that really should be automated but aren't, just because of the process. But now you can plug into things that can automate a lot of things, and then get better conversation and save a lot more money, because now you don't have to pay somebody a massive hourly rate to get that same data. You can just plug and play with apps, and it'll get you to the same point. So that's where the industry is. That's basically what my background is and my experience here, having owned my firm for literally just 5 years, but booming about 3 or 4 years ago, booming in the online space. We work with clients all over the country, 32 states we have clients in, and we have clients in over 4 different countries, which, once again, I'm a small business owner out of South Florida, and I have clients all over the country in 4 different countries because of just the innovation of online accounting tech. So I can consult and plug people into technology that, where you no longer have to be, let's say, a accounting tech firm or accounting tech company here in the United States. You can be in the UK, Australia, Canada, South America, and they're globalizing because of the way the open API infrastructure is on accounting tech. So, we can start utilizing some cool tech that's out there that is no longer country specific, which is also really cool, because we're getting even more or better innovation in the marketplace when it comes to owning your own business. So I want to stop there and just kind of open it up to some Q&A. And obviously, if the Q&A dies off, then, I can continue talking about a topic. But, hopefully getting some Q&A, ask me anything. So if you're like, hey, what are you even referring to? What kind of tech is out there? Go ahead and ask. If you want me to go off on that, I can tell you exactly what tech I would recommend. So if you guys are like, man, I really need a recommendation, then I can run through that as well.
Yeah, so anybody wants to ask a question, just come up here and grab the mic. I'll kick it off, though.
Go for it.
Why don't you, give us some concrete recommendations. Like, what do you see right now as kind of the ideal stack to automate out a lot of these different sort of tasks that you've been talking about? Yeah.
So immediately, right away, what I would do, the best technology stack for owning your small business, as far as I'm concerned at the moment, which is the player that's leading the front, is an accounting software that's based out of New Zealand. They're called Xero. I don't know if anyone's heard of Xero. They're starting to get more and more traction here in the United States. They don't have a tremendous amount of businesses that use it. Percentage-wise, I think it's somewhere between 100,000, maybe 200,000 businesses here in the United States. But Xero's leading the front and basically changing the paradigm shift in accounting. So Xero is obviously an alternative to QuickBooks, but Xero has basically revamped the way accounting should be done. They're a fully open API platform, so you can grab data points from any place on your accounting system. And what's pretty amazing is they have a massive add-on marketplace of 500 other complementary, add-on apps ecosystem-wide that basically solve a lot of areas of business ownership. If you're someone that sells inventory, you need something like that. They'll take care of that. If you're, let's say you guys are doing time tracking for your clients, you can use a lot of their time tracking apps that integrate in seamlessly into Xero. So let's say if you're using Harvest or Deputy or T-Sheets or any of these time tracking apps, and you're tracking your jobs, and you're trying to invoice your client. Well, sometimes people use things like Harvest, and they invoice out of Harvest, but Harvest doesn't do accounting. Then they got to use another accounting software for the accounting. So, at the end of the day, the technology stack, that we need to build as business owners is basically a technology stack that just all talks together. So if you're using Harvest for your jobs and you're keeping track of your time for your dev jobs, you're invoicing the client, Harvest will immediately and seamlessly integrate into Xero, drop in the invoices. So that way it keeps track of all your invoices inside your accounting software. If your client pays that invoice through Harvest, it'll totally import in, mark payments up against it. Then all you got to do is literally hit OK in Xero. And then all your data is totally seamless. All your client data is seamless. All your time tracking is seamless. All your invoicing is seamless. So, and then it gets even better because you can actually do deeper reporting in here. You can do other things like financial services. So if you're trying to get loans, integrates into Cabbage, Fundbox, Blue Vine, and there's all these companies that are trying to add in what I call complementary accounting apps to the core of accounting that is me running my business. The technology stack that I would recommend is Xero at the bottom, and then you start stacking apps on top that you need based on your business structure. So if you're, like I say, if you're keeping track of dev jobs, you turn on that app that integrates seamlessly into your accounting, and then you let the two talk to each other through the OpenAI framework. And then obviously, because it's fully open API, you can actually make custom integrations into the platform. So if you're using Xero and you want some kind of data point out of there specific to your dev company based on you and the founders, you can integrate in and pull that data out, and you can build some sort of some bridge or some sort of cloud-based front-end app that basically pulls and fetches data points from your core accounting data. So this is initially the stack that I would recommend. There's some freaking awesome stuff. And for things that don't integrate, obviously you got Zapier that does pull in certain things. If you're using like MailChimp or something like that, or let's say some sort of mailing system that you want to try to get some of the lead data into your accounting system for whatever reason, or let's say your lead data into a CRM system because you're trying to follow up with leads, Zapier will build those bridges for you, and it'll ultimately all go down to Xero. So that way you can shoot out invoices out of your accounting if you end up closing a lead through somewhere up above. So super cool stuff, really game changers on the front of business ownership.
Anybody? So I've got a follow-up question. I'm gonna dominate here for a minute. So follow up on that. Let's say like there's somebody who's a freelancer just starting out, or somebody who hasn't run their own consulting business for a while, and they want to know like, well, what kind of things am I going to be tracking in Xero? Like, what other information do I need to track other than what I bill out? Like, what information is Xero going to track that I need for accounting purposes? Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So Xero once again is the accounting platform. Short and simple. So what Xero basically does, let's say you're just a little freelancer doing some side jobs, or a freelancer just billing out clients for whatever kind of dev work. Xero can handle all your relationship with your clients. That is, if you have bank accounts specific to your business, or if you have bank accounts dedicated to you collecting money from customers, Xero integrates into that bank account, just like, let's say, Mint.com, integrates in, fetches the data daily, and then basically all you do is you categorize the data. Or you can automate the stuff. That is, you can say, well, every time I spend money here, it goes here. Every time I collect money from here, it goes there. Xero is just like a regular accounting system. You can track all your incomes, track all your expenses, pull reports for yourself, such as, income statements, like how much did I make, how much did I bring in, how much did I spend, what's my profit of the business. And so Xero can obviously send out invoices. They look super clean. You can actually do different kind of branding inside Xero. So let's say you have a dev company that have different kinds of brands. Let's say, dev on, on Facebook versus Twitter or something like that. Let's say you just different promotions of your own company. You can create different templates of invoices where you can send an invoice that looks a particular way versus an invoice that looks another particular way. You can integrate merchant processing inside of it, so you can collect your payments right through the invoice, credit card, debits. The reports generation, you can publish reports through there that look super slick, that have like cover pages and table of contents and financial statements. So if you end up becoming a sole prop and you're trying to get something like, I'm just trying to get like a little $1,000 loan from my bank, Xero will present your financials, your numbers in a really super nice, slick format that it looks really legitimate, where, at my old firm, we used to generate the same kind of stuff and it'd be top dollar for that kind of stuff. But now, Xero can do something really, really nice on that front. And then all you have to do is just export it into a PDF and print it out. It's or email it if you like. But it handles all the simple things in a small business life: general accounting, invoicing, keeping track of incomes and expenses. And then if you want to get, app crazy, you can stack on apps that are complementary to things that you want to accomplish, keeping track of time on jobs, stuff like that. deeper reporting, practice management type of stuff.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah.
I'm sure Zero isn't completely free, and maybe you can go into that. But at what point, either number of employees or revenue-wise, what point does it make sense to start tracking expenses with something like that?
Well, I mean, here's my persuasion. If you own a business, whether it's a side thing or not a side thing, a full-time thing, you should always be keeping track of your incomes and expenses. Zero isn't free. I mean, it's not expensive. I think they're running deals like $21 for the first 6 months and then $30 thereafter. Let's say you were paying $30 a month. It's $360 a year to run a platform that gets you access to 500 other add-on apps in the ecosystem that you can stack on top. And depending on some states that you may live in, or if you have employees in certain states, it actually will run payroll for you. That is, as part of that price, has payroll inside. So, I'm of the persuasion that if you have a business, you should be keeping track of all your incomes and your expenses. It's really up to you whether or not $360 is a break to the bank. It's not a lot, as far as I'm concerned. It never goes up unless you want to do things like multi-currency type stuff. If you guys do dev jobs cross border and you're trying to send invoices out and in pounds or euros or something like that versus USD, then that's another thing. But for $30 a month, you can plug into one of the best platforms that's out there and then just connect the bank accounts that you use for your business, whether it be small, big, or medium, and then just keep track of everything. And then you have things at the click of buttons. And then once you start growing, see, a lot of this is about laying a good foundation at the beginning. So where people generally end up being is they use something in the meantime to just get them by. And then when they blow up or their company takes off, then they have to rethink everything and then backtrack. And then generally that's more painful than basically using something very good right off the bat so that when you scale up, it scales with you. And then then you don't have to have the conversation like, what do I use? What do I plug into? Now I got to get all my old data off this old system, get my new data into this new system. It'll scale with you. And as far as I'm concerned, Zero can scale tremendously. I mean, we have clients that generate hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that are using Zero as their accounting software of choice and are plugging in apps that they need in order to do certain things that they need to accomplish. But I'm of the persuasion, once again, that you should, whether you're small or big, you should use a good, solid accounting tool, because accounting is key to A, obviously doing all your taxes right, but B, getting to a place of understanding what your margins are, whether or not you're successful. Could you charge more? Are your costs too high? Are my margins right? Am I making enough money? That kind of thing. And those are real conversations that need to be had.
I will. This Aaron Perez.
Aaron.
I'm part of an accelerator program that's taking place here, and as it so happens, yesterday we had a presentation on QuickBooks.
Yep.
So can you compare Zero and QuickBooks, and why? We have a local accounting firm that's recommending QuickBooks.
Yep.
So why? How do we convince them to use Zero? That we should use Zero instead of QuickBooks?
Well, this is I don't want to say this is the battle of the ages in the accounting world. You have a platform that's been around for a long time that, as far as I'm concerned, has dominated the marketplace from a corporate perspective. That is, they're going to generate something that works for them and accounting firms. They're not going to generate something that works for you, right? And that's really the difference. Listen, I have no beef with QuickBooks at all, but I know just from my experience that pretty much they're generating an accounting tool that is that is basically me friendly, accounting friendly, accountant friendly, and not business owner friendly. And so really just theoretically and prospectively here, and then I'll answer practically speaking what the difference is. But theoretically speaking here, the difference between the two is basically QuickBooks generates something that's very accountant friendly. Xero generates something that is not only accounting friendly, but super user friendly, and allows the user to basically keep the accountant in check, which I love. That's why I love this platform. Is I want to blow up my own industry because it is atrocious when it comes to the processes that it promotes out to business owners. It's awful. It's like throwing chains on people. So what Xero has done is basically blown the roof off and basically gave power to the business owner to say, you know what, you can plug into one of the greatest accounting apps that is not only super accountant friendly, but also super business friendly by opening up the entire platform, plugging into apps that work, that feed off each other. And then what that does is it saves you money. It intensifies your relationship with your accountant in a better aspect. That is, wouldn't you rather pay me for consulting and deeper advice rather than paying me for remedial bookkeeping services that adds no value to your life or mine? And so that's the difference prospectively here between a Xero platform and the QuickBooks platform. The reason why QBO started opening up their APIs because they saw Xero coming down the pike, and they said, for lack of a better term, oh shit, there's a big player that's about to steal a big chunk of our base, because it's a refreshing perspective, to come into business ownership knowing that you can plug into some of the greatest things out there and operate like literally, you can be a little freelancer doing $10,000 a year and you can look like a Fortune 500 company. That's how awesome it is. And you can still use machine learning on your little $10,000 business. You can't get that kind of stuff through QBO or QB at all. They're just not there yet. And it'll be years before they get there, because that's really not their perspective. Their perspective is not to help business owners. It's to basically favor accountants. So that's theoretically. Now, practically speaking, there are a lot of things and features in Xero that are better than QB. And just one, for example, if anyone's keeps their books or anything like that, I'll give you a quick one. Let's say, for example, by accident, you put like 20 transactions of something into the wrong account. Well, QuickBooks forever, and still to this day, if you put a bunch of transactions into the wrong account, you have to go one by one and move them, right? And I'm sure everyone's had the thought, man, why can't we just figure out a way to just select all 20 and just recode them over here? And Xero did that. It's called find and recode. So you can basically find all the transactions based on basically conditions. So once again, very, very program dev oriented, based on conditions, let's say descriptions, or if a transaction has inside of it contains, let's say Starbucks, we find all these transactions and then we find and recode them to where we want to be. I mean, simple things like that we've thought for years that it's just not there in the existing accounting platform. Because once again, the existing accounting platforms of the world, like QuickBooks and Peachtree and Mass90 and Sage and all these guys, they don't listen to the voice of the small business owner. They're not trying to develop and innovate off the industries to make your life easier. They're just there really to make my life easier, pretty much upsell, because obviously if I put you in a dumber accounting system, that means I charge you more based for my services, right? And that's basically, as far as I'm concerned, the approach of the industry is not throwing too many features into the accounting system so that it's accountant friendly and I can charge you more because it can't do what I can do. That is, if it's, sorry, somebody's trying to call me here. Because it can't do what really needs to be done, I can charge you more for doing that kind of work. So that's really the difference between the two platforms.
That's probably a good place to jump into my question, which is, we're software developers and generally pretty capable. We're not scared of math, and so we're okay with doing things like, I need a projection on my burn rate to figure out when I'm going to run out of money and that kind of stuff. But what are some examples of situations where it would make sense to hire an outside accountant, even if we're using, a platform, QuickBooks or Xero, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, excellent question. It really just comes down to skill set. That is, I mean, if you're not scared of math and doing projections and all that kind of stuff, man, that's awesome. A lot of people aren't there. That's, for a lot of people who aren't there, that's generally their trigger to hire somebody that's outside. For the most part, in just business life in general, you guys should always have basically 3 people, business owners, that is. You guys should always have 3 people behind you guys at all times, at any point in time. One is a very good, basically general accountant, CPA, tax accountant. The other one should be a good business attorney, which will help you through any of your litigation, paperwork, acquisition type stuff. And the other one is basically a financial planner. And the 3 of them together work together on your behalf as business owners. The accountant would help you save taxes, rethink your corporate structure. Are you in the right corporate structure, not paying too much in tax? Help you streamline that kind of stuff. The financial planner will help you suck money out of your own entity, causing deductions for your business, keeping money in the owner's pocket, that kind of things. That's why you need one of those. And the business attorney basically just makes sure that all your contracts are being read, that you're getting engaged into, HR is up to date if you have employees, stuff like that. So it just really depends on the life of the business owner, whether or not to engage somebody to replace things that they're incapable of doing. So, if you're running your business and you're like, dude, I'm really good at coding, but I suck at taxes and I don't understand it. And there's always this feeling of angst. That's, at that point, obviously that's a trigger to connect with someone who can help explain the angst and then obviously get away from that. So for example, like my company, we have packages that we offer because I do an online accounting firm. We basically bundle a bunch of things that I know work for business owners in packages. And one of the simple examples I give is, as part of every one of our packages, we do tax planning for the owner. So I can tell you guys right now, I can actually tell you back in February of this year, almost within a 1 to 2% margin of error, what I think your taxes are going to be based on your business growth. And that's why I use platforms like Xero, because it helps me streamline not only the performance of the business, but I'm able to do projection work using apps. And if I'm able to do projection work using apps, I can take that projection work it backwards, plug it into a tax planning software and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, I think you're going to owe Uncle Sam, $20,000, in the state of Tennessee, $8,000. And what that does is you're no longer behind the 8 ball. It actually now empowers you, and you're now in front of it. And you have a number to work with that encompasses everything that your business does, all the way down to the individual person. Because as individuals, we pay taxes. Your business causes you to pay tax, but as individuals, we pay the tax. And so if you have a successful business and you're always on the grind and trying to figure out this whole tax situation, this is what I mean by a paradigm shift in the tech stack. Is you need to plug into things that work so that all the ancillary things like tax planning, deeper conversations, saving money in taxes are triggered. And that's generally what some of the triggers are. So a lot of basically just uncertainty, incapability, or basically angst. If you're having a lot of anxiety about your business ownership and you're like, I have no idea how to control this thing, that's when you really should be connecting with someone, hopefully that can explain it better in such a way that you can understand. Does that answer the question?
That one got it. Okay, so any other questions here? No? All right. Well, let's give it up for Will. That was great. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Will. That was good stuff. And people can find you at advisorfi.com, right?
Yeah, they can go to advisorfi.com, see what we're all about, follow us on Twitter, all that fun stuff.
All right, cool. Thanks again. And I'll do a little post-session wrap-up with you. But give it up one more time for Will, everybody. One announcement. Now we don't. This is the last CHA for the year, so don't come next week. We'll be resuming January 5th in the new year. So get at me if you want to give a talk, because we haven't booked any talks yet for the new year. So we're on a race to the finish line. Thanks again, guys.